set this live stream up. Let me flip this around. I want to be sitting facing the sun, I guess. All right, there's the chair. My face should be there. Okay, I don't know if you can hear me or not. Oi! Ah! Let me put my mic on here. Let me go to my other cell phone here to see what's going on. Stand by for news. All right, it says I'm offline here. Oh, well, this isn't going to work out so well if I'm offline on this phone. Okay, plan B, I've got to flip the camera around backwards because this phone is offline. I should have checked it before going live. Let me go to settings real quick. Yeah, I know this is all the stuff that happens in the BG when you're setting up. Let's see, settings. I might have to call Minnie over here to help me out with this. Let's see. Okay, connected. I don't know why it doesn't do auto connect. I'm not sure why. All right, let me go to my channel. You guys taught me how all this stuff works. Let's see, I'm loading up first impressions live from Phnom Penh. Impressions. Oh, now I see myself. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's not the worst camera view in the world anyway. Yeah, I could see that I'm buffering a little bit. So let me see if I could switch over to oh, Girly Senna's here. Girly Senna. Alien Cruise officials in the house. I'm buffering, but I'm buffering on my phone here, on the other cell phone. I'm not sure what's going on the broadcasting phone here. All right. I'm not sure this is going to work out at all. I should have been on the hotel Wi-Fi, but it's a little bit slow. And I renewed my data plan for the rest of the trip here. Let me flip this phone around. I do apologize. I do apologize for the low-tech Dan, the demonstration of how low-tech I actually am. So now you can see me with the backwards letter on my shirt. But now I can't read the comments. See, because the sun is behind the camera. It's in my eyes. So again, I won't be able to respond because I don't have the other phone working right. Anyway, welcome. So this is a First Impressions live stream. And I didn't realize this balcony. This is the first time I've been out here since we checked in. I didn't know it was so narrow. There's about room for about, a cat. It's about, the balcony is only about 2 feet wide. And they have a couple of big chairs sitting here and a small table. Perfectly matched. All right, so what story do I have to tell you this morning? Oh, the first one that I'd like to start off sharing with you is the breakfast story. So now I get this brilliant idea. It's been so difficult taking advantage of the hotel breakfast buffet because that we paid for. It comes with the room. And this is a 4-star, I guess they call it a boutique hotel. It's a nice hotel. I'm not going to lie to you about that. It's a nice hotel. I could see where the 4 stars come from. But there's a mad dash in the morning. They open at 7 for breakfast, and then they go until 10. And I get this brilliant idea, oh, we should be there early in the morning, and that way we can get in and get out. Well, here's what the problem's been with Dan's idea. Is that you have huge tour groups coming in here. By the way, I want to thank everybody for your support and for being here this morning. I truly appreciate you. I know Larissa's live right now. Larise! How are you? Larisse is so funny. I like Larisse so much. All right, so she's one of my favorite people. And so are you. So are you for being here and supporting me. Now, here's the story, right? So I get this brilliant idea. Oh, breakfast is served from 7 to 10. The earlier we get in, the better. But here's what the flaw in the idea was. You know, just to let you know, travel is not perfect all the time. Most of the time, this idea would work because people don't get up so early in the morning. But they have big tour groups coming through here. I mean, huge, massive. And the problem is that the tour bus leaves for them to go on their tours in the morning somewhere around 8:10 to 8:15 in the morning. And so this idea of mine was flawed. It would work if they didn't have large tour groups coming through here. But it's flawed because everybody is cramming into where they serve the breakfast all at once. They just like, boosh. They come in there at 7, right when it opens, just like I thought I would have the place to myself at 7 in the morning because I'm an early riser. Minnie and I, we get up early to start the day. We get out on the road, figure out what we're going to do. And I like to sit there and enjoy a couple of cups of coffee in the morning. You know how I can be. Well, anyway, it doesn't work out because they have these large tour groups coming in here and they swarm the buffet. And so here's what happens to me this morning. 7 a.m. I thought I was going to be the only one there, but I got mowed over by a tour group that's visiting. And there must have been 50, 75, I don't know how many people there were. But so they're all in a hurry to get breakfast and eat because they got an 8:10 bus to catch. I should have figured this all out. I should have figured this out, but I didn't figure it out. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with my head. It could be dementia settling in. I don't know. But anyway, I am at the right age for dementia to start creeping in here. I don't want to get it, but I usually have better judgment than this. And so what happens is I'm over by the coffee machine and I just pick up my cup of coffee from the coffee machine. Now this is one of those coffee machines where you push the button, and I was getting my morning Americano. I so much needed my cup of coffee before starting the day. So I pushed the button on the automatic machine. It's all push button espresso machine. I love the push button stuff, don't you? And I'm grabbing, and so it's done brewing. I'm grabbing my coffee and I feel so good about this morning, even though there are a bunch of people that they're cramming into that little dining area, putting in extra tables because of the big group. And as I'm lifting the cup of coffee, one of the tour members is pushing his way in there to get a cup of coffee, and he hits me. And he hits me on the elbow that I'm carrying the cup of coffee. And the cup of coffee goes splashing everywhere, splashes the 2 or 3 people that are behind me. And of course, I start laughing hysterically. I said, because it's like I'm stuck in some kind of a movie, you know, like a sitcom, right? I think Nitban is here. I'm seeing Nitban's name. I'm seeing somebody saying hello to Nitban. So they hit my elbow right here, and I was holding the coffee like this. It goes, right? The coffee goes flying everywhere. And the guy that hits me does not apologize, does not say anything, right? So I'm looking around and people are like, you wedded me. And I'm going, it must be a European tour group. Because I got no apology, and I say this out loud. And then all of a sudden I see people, blah, 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 I'm appalled. I'm appalled. I'm appalled. And of course, it's humorous to me. You know, of course, the whole thing is humorous because I'm carrying an Americano and I'm American. And they're not. Listen, you have to get into my head sometimes to understand why this is so funny, right? I get no apology. In fact, people are looking at me like, well, you caused this to happen. Blah, 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 blah. And the guy behind me, what happened? What happened? What happened? And of course, I'm not saying anything, right? I'm not saying anything. But I call over one of the attendants. I say, oh, there's a little bit mess over here that needs to be cleaned up. And so he comes over and he starts cleaning it up. Oh man, you know, what a mess to clean up. And the people they got to go back to their rooms to change, a couple of them, right? Because they got splattered a little bit, you know? So I go, oh, this isn't going to work. So I go find a table. I grab some food instead. I leave the coffee behind. I go grab some food, go sit down at the table. Out of harm's way, I surely don't want to harm anyone any longer. And plus, I'm out of control and I don't want to get beat up. Someone's probably going to refer to me as being a dirty American. Listen, I'm even cracking myself up talking about it. Anyway, and then Minnie comes over to sit down and she goes, you relax a little bit, honey. I'm gonna get your coffee for you. And then she goes over there and she uneventfully pours it for me, right? And brings it back. Thank you so much for doing that for me. That's love. That's true love, I'm telling you. Minnie's over there. She's getting ready. We're getting ready to go to the Royal Palace. But anyway, that's what's on the agenda today. We're getting ready to go to the Royal Palace. All right, setting that aside. And I sat there for pretty much for an hour in stunned silence. That's how long it took me to finish breakfast, because there were so many friggin' people in the room. It was not safe to move around. Now I have a solution for this problem, and I'll probably share it with the manager of the hotel later, because we're on a first name basis now. And when I do say something to them, I'll probably say, hey, you know, when you have large tour groups like that, maybe you want to start breakfast at 6 instead of 7. I realize what an inconvenience it may have for your staff, but if you started at 6 and the people have their bus tours at 8:10, that'll give them enough time to get through, you know? And then, so one reason why we sat there for so long is I need to come up with a plan B, because we're still here for 3 more days right before we bug out and head back for Manila. So I'm watching the clock. I got my phone in front of me. I'm watching the clock. Right around 8:10, everybody clears out. Listen, I did not know that there was a huge tour group. I didn't know until I came in. I say, hey, I look around and I say, why did they pack so many chairs in here? Why do they have so many big tables? Now, this hotel, this boutique hotel, is more like a museum than it is an actual hotel. I mean, I may do a live from the lobby. You won't believe this place. You will not believe this place. And I may show it to you because it's like a museum in here. So they have everything, all the decorations, all the chairs, all the tables. They're period tables. And the same is true for in the dining room. But in my opinion, they need to go a little bit more utilitarian, right? They need to be a little bit more utilitarian. Sometimes it's about providing the service that prevails over the decorations and keeping the hotel theme consistent throughout the hotel. I don't know. What do you think? Tell me what you think in the comment section below. All right, let's talk about first impressions. Well, the first impressions after getting here, I was kind of scared. And I've noticed when I've gone on YouTube and I've searched around that people have the same first impression. That it's a little bit more chaotic than other cities that they've been to, including Manila, by the way. And people, even though they're very, very friendly, you know, they have that money face. Is that what you call it? They have that money face on. Their main motivation is to put food on the table for their families. The only way they're going to do that is to extract the funds out of your pocket any way they can. And so now the thing about that is you can do that. It's understandable. Most tourists understand that. But there's a finesse, and there's no finesse. You have to ease your way in. You ease the money out of your pocket. Let me grab some money. Let me grab some money. Let me ease it out in the nicest way possible. Not attack the man's pocket or the woman's purse and grab, you know, and it's on, a money grab, right? Where you grab. No, not here at the hotel. Quite the opposite. Out there in the tuk-tuk world, right? Out there in the tuk-tuk world. That's what it's all about. And so I took the manager's advice, and we've been using Grab. Of course, Nitban and others told me that that would be the way to go, because the tuk-tuk drivers here would try to extract all the money they possibly could out of your pocket, and then they would take your location, like what happened to us when we arrived, and say, oh no, no, you misunderstood. I'm charging you double money. But I don't play that. I don't. You're not getting the extra money out of me. I'm paying what the going rate is, because I'm to be treated no differently than any other tourist that comes in, you know? And that means that the price that you quoted is the price that I paid, and which happened when we got the ride over here to the hotel. Now, I want to tell you something. I now realize the whole thing was a setup by the bus driver. I realized this a day or two later. Some of you were probably laughing at me. Oh, that was a scam by the bus driver, because he probably gets a commission, you know, once the tuk-tuk driver extracts money. So I was wondering why the bus driver signaled me and say, I'm dumping you off here. It's only a couple minute ride to your hotel. Well, why isn't he going to the transit station? Everybody else was staring at me. Now that I realize that they were all staring at us, you know, they were looking at us like, hey, oh, he's a foreigner. That's why we're stopping here. And then so he dumped us off, and of course, he must have called his friend, the tuk-tuk driver, and said, oh, I've got a sucker coming, you know, latch onto him. But I had my phone at the ready. I don't know if I was clear enough about this or not. When he tossed us off the bus, right, I had my phone ready, and I was getting ready to dial a Grab before the guy comes up. No, I'll take you. And then he starts that $5 business. I said, no, why would I pay you $5 when the going rate is $1 per ride, you know, into the city? And so he's looking at me, and he's thinking to himself, oh, he's going to call Grab if I don't do something here. And then he says, oh, I'll do it for $2. Now remember here, they quote everything in US dollars. They don't quote in real. If you pay with real, Cambodian real, you're fine. They have to accept that currency. They can't reject it. But if you have dollars, even better, because the dollar is a strong currency. Am I boring you with this problem? With the story? You've already heard this before, right? So anyway, when we get to the hotel, he says, oh, no, that was $2 per person. Oh, no, I'm only giving you $2 for the ride. So we negotiated that. Why would I take this guy when all I had to do was just order the Grab? And he intervened and said, no. And of course, you had the bag men there. What are they called? Is that why they're called bag men? Nitban? Anyway, never mind. They wanted to get paid. We didn't pay them. No, I don't do that. Homie, don't play that. All right, anyway, I'm not the most sophisticated world traveler, you know, but I'm scruffy. No, Dan, you're fat. You're fat, out of shape, and you're old. You fall like a deck of cards. All somebody has to do is just push you. All they have to do really is just blow on you and you'd fall over. I'm enjoying telling you this so much. All right, back to the impressions. Well, that is an impression. So that goes on, right? Now, the city is a little bit cleaner than I would say some cities, major cities that we've been in. Is it cleaner than Manila? Yeah, it's a little bit cleaner and more organized, but the traffic is chaotic. It's worse than Manila in terms of traffic. I don't know how anybody finds their way around this place. I really don't, without running into each other. I don't believe I've seen any accidents occur since we've been here. Some kind of way, people just seem to know which way to go. But they don't have traffic lights like the ones that are showing up in Manila and other places, even in the province. They have a stop sign or a traffic light. None of that exists here. So people are going left, right, up, down, one-way streets, on the sidewalks. Yes, as I mentioned before, they do use the sidewalks for their own personal parking space. There's no traffic enforcement. I understand that if you were to become a victim of a crime and then try to report it to police, they hardly listen, nothing has happened to me. I hope I don't have to test this out. But when you try and give them a report, they give you a hard time about submitting a report. The reason is because they know that you're just passing through. So what? They go and they arrest somebody. Let's say they find somebody who's done you wrong and they take them into custody. Then what? Then what? You're going to come from what? Los Angeles, California, back to testify against the person that was arrested? You know, no, that ain't going to happen. So that's why they discourage you from giving reports, you know. So you're done in, but most of the crime is petty crime. And so we don't walk around with much stuff. You know, I try to walk around only with the cell phone in my hand. I'm not even carrying these days, not at night. I'm not carrying the battery pack, the microphone and all that other stuff. I'm not carrying the selfie stick, but I should, because the selfie stick can be used to protect myself and protect Dan and Minnie. And so probably tonight when we're out and about, I'll be using the selfie stick. So now, continuing on with the impressions, the first impressions. Would I live here? The answer is a resounding no. It's not only a no, it's a no way, right? Even though it's way cheaper, probably by 50% than it is living in Manila. The food prices in the tourist area are about the same as they are in Bangkok, Thailand, but give or take a couple of cents, give or take 50 cents or so American. But it's not enough to make me want to, low rent and things like that aren't enough to make me want to move here. You know, rent would be your major expense, and since we own a home, there's nothing that inspires me to want to live here. In other words, I'm trying to figure out what this city reminds me of, you know, most. And I can't quite put my finger on it, except that it would be Bangkok would be close. A little bit more chaotic, because Bangkok is very organized. You know, even though it has extreme traffic issues, it's overcrowded, it's got people coming and going 24/7. It's an organized sort of thing. You know what to expect. You have traffic lights, you have enforcement officers, you have everybody available in case something bad happens to you. Somebody is going to be close by. It is not true in Phnom Penh. Now, in fairness to Cambodia, it is modernizing. Infrastructure is improving. They have all the modern features that you would expect in a big city. That being said, traffic issues aside, and that could be very, very appealing, especially if you could live up there in that high-rise tandem building that I'm looking at $150 or $170 a month for a 30 square meter apartment. I see it right over here. I'm looking at it. It's in tandem. It looks like Singapore almost. It's a beautiful city otherwise, and we actually have in here in Phnom Penh, they actually have pedestrian walkways, which was very unusual. And so every new building that's being built, it's a requirement now, I understand, for them to have adequate easement for pedestrian paths. And yes, but as I said, you can have nice easement that has been taken over by motorbikes and scooters and bicycles and trikes and tuk-tuk drivers taking a nap in the middle of the afternoon, all parked on the sidewalk, which kind of puts pedestrians in a little bit of danger, you know, because traffic is intense here. It's hard to find a street where you're not going to run into huge traffic issues, you know, where people are coming and going. They're just hustling and bustling, trying to get on with their day. And so that's what's going on in Phnom Penh. However, I could live, that being said, and I was about to say, in Siem Reap. I could definitely live in Siem Reap because it's a much more laid back. It doesn't have the population that is here in Phnom Penh, in the big city. Now, I've said before that I love both the calm and quiet and the hustle and the bustle of the city, and that is true. But it's off-putting, some of the things that go on here in Phnom Penh. Not so much in Siem Reap. Siem Reap has a laid-back, relaxed, it's just enough. Siem Reap has just enough movement going on, right, to keep me happy, where it has that nice balance between busy city or busy metropolitan area and province living. You know, it has that nice balance. And so if you wanted to find stuff to do at night, you go to Pub Street, you go somewhere where the action is, and it's only a couple of blocks away from wherever you're at, anywhere in that city. Anywhere you are in Siem Reap, you can find fun and entertainment. Here, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And so you can find respite in the park. You can find respite in the temples and things like that, which gives you a nice balance, gives your visit a nice balance. But it doesn't, I'm stuck at trying to give you what to compare this city to. You know, like I said, the only thing I could come up with really is Bangkok, Thailand, but I don't want to insult Bangkok because it's such a nice city, right? Phnom Penh, like I said, for most people, it's going to be okay. You know, it's going to be okay. And you can't compare it with Manila or Los Angeles or San Francisco, New York City. You can't compare it to any place I've ever been before. But now that we've been here for a few days, we can maneuver around it. You know, we've learned to maneuver and deal with everything that goes on here. And it took a couple of days in order to become acclimated. And the same thing most likely would happen to even the most seasoned traveler who has never been in Phnom Penh. So that does not mean, you know, don't come here. Of course you have to come here, because the history and the culture are all things going on here in Phnom Penh are things that you should experience and learn about, and it's history in the making, especially the transformation of Phnom Penh into a modern city, which is going on now. And so maybe that's part of it. Part of it might be the cranes that are everywhere. Part of it might be the tractors, the bulldozers, the construction traffic coming through the downtown area 24/7. We were coming in back to the hotel late last night around 10 p.m. and we had to meander around a construction site where they were tearing down a building and moving concrete practically in the middle of the night. So the whole thing is going on 24/7. No, it's not New York City. I love New York City for the 24-hour ambiance. This has a 24-hour. It's different. So some of you who've been here, you might disagree with me on my impression, but it's not a city, even though it's clean and it's becoming modern and it has all these cultural experiences and temples to visit. We're probably going to take in a couple of temple sites. We're going to the Royal Museum today in a little while, as soon as we're done with this live stream. You know, you may say, Dan, you're all off base, you know. And then the money thing, if you notice, you know, you'll notice that foreigners, they carefully are counting out their money. That's because even though it should be very simple, that it's $1 equals 4,000. You have a lot of foreigners here that first convert their currency, their country's currency, to dollars, and they have to learn that conversion rate. And then once they get the dollars, then they have to keep track of that conversion rate. So I've seen people doing the same exact thing that I do, which is carefully counting out the money. And so that is both good and bad. And the reason why it could be bad is they can learn right away that you're not living locally if you're counting out your money very carefully, as opposed to just seeing the color of the bill and whipping it out, douche, douche, douche. And so my advice to anybody coming here is do the whole thing in American dollars. And my friends gave me this advice, but for some reason I wanted to convert the money to Cambodian reals. I think one reason was that I knew that if I give them American dollars, they're going to give me whatever change back that they have, whether it's in American dollars or real. That has happened, and it's just fact. I don't want to get stuck with any Cambodian reals. That's what the problem is, you know. But I have a feeling that I'll get stuck taking home souvenirs of 20 or 30 Cambodian reals. I'm going to try and do everything I can to spend that money, and they want you to, before leaving this country. Maybe it'll happen at the airport. If I can find anything, you know, that costs under, I don't know, $20 at the airport, we'll have to find out and see. We only are sitting right now on about $45 in Cambodian real, but I'm still a little bit worried that we're going to end up having to carry that home. Now, here's another thing. You have to have small change for the tuk-tuk drivers. So whenever you call Grab, they don't carry change, or they say they don't. So you have to make sure that you have a lot of rides, like last night, where 3,500 Cambodian real, which is a little less than $1. And Minnie had to come up to the hotel and grab change. The hotel clerk was very, very kind, knowing that Minnie is a guest there, and provided change and brought it back out to the tuk-tuk driver. So all that is good, so I really appreciate that. But you have to carry small bills, either small $1 bills. And where do you get those? The only way you can get those is not from the ATM machine or the exchange. You have to get it as change for using $10 and $20 bills. All right, I've got about, I would say about $80 American money, because I went to the ATM machine just to try it out, to see what's going to happen, what's it going to spit out. And it spit out brand spanking new $20 bills when I went to the ATM machine. There's one bank you have to use exclusively that gives you a choice between whether you want to draw Cambodian reals or you want to draw American dollars. And for those of you planning on traveling here, you want American dollars. You push that button. You want to use the ATM machine at the ABA bank. That's A, B as in boy, A as in apple. ABA bank. They're the ones that give you the choice. And you're going to pay a $5 fee and won't be reimbursed unless you're using your Fidelity or your Schwab account. And they'll reimburse you for those ATM charges. And so one good thing about that is there's no conversion rate if you're taking it out in American dollars. Think about that. There's no conversion rate fee that you're going to have to pay from your bank, because it's just like using an ATM machine that's stationed in the United States. If you select the right buttons, and that is that you want your money in American dollars. So if we burn up these reals, which I'm hoping that we'll be able to do in the next couple of days, then we switch over to American dollars, and I could tell you how that's going to go. All right, what else do I have to talk about? Oh, this, okay, here you go. The water out there, it's hard for me I can't understand how deep it is, because you see stuff growing in it. I'm just thinking that those are those things that grow because of, not algae forming, but what is it that it's called where it grows the plant? So it's probably a very deep water channel out there, like the Mississippi River when the river's full and it's high up. Because I see a lot of cranes and boats coming through that carry containers, right? Just like you'd see on the Mississippi River, or once in a while in Sacramento, they have the huge cranes and they offload them manually using the cranes. And so, you know, but there is a section of the river that is deeper than the other parts of the river because I've seen the boats channel out through them. So they have a deep river channel that probably has been dredged, so they make sure that nothing gets hung up then. No barges come in that are too heavy that ended up being grounded. So I think that this place, as far as industry, it's in very, very good shape. You know, it's in very, very good shape. The economy, it's kind of like vacillating a little bit from good to bad, good to bad, good to bad. I sense it. I have not read anything about it. It's just my own impression. My impression is that the economy is not as good as it could be, even though it's probably a lot better than what's going on in the United States. It's probably somewhere equal to what's happening in Manila, with about a 5.5% growth rate, something like that. I'm not even 100% sure that's where it's at, but that's my impression, you know, is that people are struggling a little bit. What I don't get is, and what I have observed is, I talked about the hustle and the bustle, but I will see a lot of tuk-tuk drivers. They're living in their tuk-tuk. So they go 24 hours a day, and then they take a break. They crawl in the back seat and they fall asleep. And so I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't know, you know, I just don't know how sincere they are about hustling up for money, because a lot of times I'll see them taking breaks, taking smoke breaks, taking cigarette breaks at the side of the road. And if I'm running my own business, and I have before, and I'm concerned about the welfare of myself and my family, you're not going to see me exhibiting that, displaying that in public. I'm going to be out there. The only time you're going to see me out there is when I'm doing business, trying to make money. See, you're not going to see me falling asleep anywhere in a chair, or sleeping in the with a blanket rolled up, pillow under my head, in the back of my tuk-tuk. If I'm a tuk-tuk driver, that's what I'm going to be doing, right? And you're not going to see me sleeping. And so I'm wondering about what the homeless, unhoused or homeless population is like here in Phnom Penh. You don't really see that many people out on the street. Here's something else that has caught my attention. In Bangkok and in Pattaya and other places in Thailand, in other places in Asia, in the Philippines too, you'll see dogs, stray dogs walking everywhere. And it has not been lost on me that I have not seen very, very many dogs walking on the sidewalks or the streets here in Phnom Penh at all. And if I've seen the dog once, I will never see him twice. And I'm pondering that. You know, I am pondering why that is. Why is it that you don't see a whole bunch of stray dogs, soy dogs we call them in Bangkok? Why don't you see a whole bunch of soy dogs walking around sniffing out their next meal? You don't see that here, right? I don't even see any stray cats. I don't see any stray animals except for the little the rats that are scurrying across the street once it becomes dark and the humans go away, and then they come out to feast on what's left behind. Other than that, I'm going to have to research that, and hopefully I could bring that to you. Is Tox Vlogs in the house? Tox, did I see you on a plane earlier? Isn't one of your short videos you flying off to someplace? Huh? That's nice. That's nice that you're going on vacation. Anyway, what else? What else? Yeah, like I said, it's not my cup of tea as a place to live, you know. We've hung out in the entertainment district, and it was slow. I'm not gonna lie to you. You want the truth? I'm telling you the straight truth. It was very, very slow in the entertainment area. I'm not sure why. And here's the thing, happy hour. So each one of these each one of these bars, right? Even the ones with the hostesses, right? That a lot of the guys, a lot of the single tourist guys, maybe not so single also, they're going in there looking for the hostess with the mostest. And even in those establishments, I know that they're mostly empty on the street that we were on. And we were on Street 136, and Nitban, if you do your research and others, Google Street 136 Phnom Penh, you'll find out what that's all about. But practically every bar that we went to had a happy hour sign on it, where they were only charging 50 cents for a draft beer, a local draft beer. Now, you can get hecka drunk on a few local beers, let me tell you, because I've done it. And so on 50 cents, so $1 goes a long way. $2 goes even further. So here's the whole thing. And I don't understand this marketing schematic. You know, again, I'm thinking from the side of business. But you could go to one bar. So we were in one bar, and it was happy hour. And then they came and they gave us our bills. The happy hour's over. Okay, how much do the drinks go up? They go up like quadruple in price. I was surprised. So they're taking down all their happy hour stuff. I'm paying my bill. And then I'm looking around, and I just go to the next bar that has the happy hour sign, right? And you see, you just keep going down the street, right? To get the deal on happy hour. I don't understand the bars doing that. I'm thinking that they're only harming themselves, right? Because if you market like that, and people know that all you have to do is pick up your stuff and move across the street, and then you get their deal, people just keep doing that, right? Until they're totally shit-faced. Isn't that the truth? Anyway, I've only partaken a couple of times, right? I'm not a drunkard. I don't drink a lot. If I have more than 2 beers a night, that's a special occasion. But I'm an observer. I'm an observer of not only the human condition, but market conditions. What's going on in the local economy? Why are things going on this way? We have run into fast food joints. As a matter of fact, let's talk about those. There are no McDonald's here. I don't know why, but there are Burger Kings. There were Burger Kings, and Pizza Hut is here. So I got hungry for a pizza. So we go into the high rent district for Pizza Hut, because that's where they're located, and right across the street from Saks Fifth Avenue. And if you're going into Pizza Hut across from Saks Fifth Avenue, which I didn't even know was still in business, don't expect to get a discount on a pizza, right? You think that Dan would know that? Man, Minnie's following me around. Minnie's following me. She follows me, right? She's like, okay, honey, let's go get a pizza. You know, we go over there. She's like shaking her head. A local pizza place would have probably been the place to go. But no, Dan wants to go into Pizza Hut. So we go into Pizza Hut, and they have and right away she brings us over the menu. It's the seafood pizza special menu. And I'm looking down there going like, who makes a seafood pizza? Only in Phnom Penh, right? Only in Southeast Asia are you going to find a pizza that has seafood in it, right? Yummy, nami, nami. Yeah, I'm all salivating thinking about that pizza last night. So I say, okay, I'll play for $8.95, and you get the pizza, and you get some chicken wings, right? Was it worth $8.95? I don't think so. It's a very, very expensive meal. And so for Phnom Penh, and so there aren't very, very many people hanging around. As a matter of fact, the people inside the Pizza Hut sitting down there having pizza were the rich guys from the financial district. They're the guys that were, oh man, I just made $1 bazillion on the stock market, the US stock market. I think I'll go across the street and have a pizza. And it's a status symbol. Pizza Hut here in Phnom Penh is a status symbol. Can you believe it? Pizza Hut here in Phnom Penh. Listen, it just cracks me up. It's a status symbol. Oh, all my friends will see me over at Pizza Hut, and they know that I made a fortune today. Ta-ta! And then it turns out to be a seafood pizza. Oh, it makes my mouth water just thinking about it all over again. It was so delicious that Minnie said to me, "You want to eat the rest of my slice here, because this isn't seafood that I recognize." And we're talking about a Filipina who knows every kind of shellfish and seafood on the planet. They eat it all, right? She says, "You want to have my pizza? I don't recognize the seafood right here. It's not very tasty. It doesn't have the flavors, the flavor profile that I'm used to." And I'm like, "Sure, honey. You know, slide that bad boy over here. I'll finish it off for you." Of course, I go home and I'm like, "Arr." My stomach is like, "Arr," growling all night. "Arr, arr, arr." You might hear it right now. "Arr." It was delicious pizza. I cannot lie. It was delicious to me, you know. And the guy and the stockbrokers that were over in the corner, "Oh, la ta ta, I made $1 million today on the U.S. stock market." We were in the financial district. All the people that were walking around, they were wearing suit and ties. You know, Saks Fifth Avenue is across the street, Starbucks across the street from it, and Pizza Hut, the status symbol of Phnom Penh. But you won't find a McDonald's here, and I'm sure there's a story behind that, and I'll have to find it out. And once I discover it, I will share it with you. So my impressions are Phnom Penh is a very, very nice place to visit, but you wouldn't want to live here unless you were Cambodian. But where you would want to live, and I would consider it because I fell in love with it, is Siem Reap. There's nothing like it anywhere that I've ever been. Now, on the bus ride down, I'll tell you what that reminded me of. The impression that I got there, it almost is identical. I mean, if you rode down whatever Route 6 or whatever that was, right? You're going to see, you're from California, and you've done that run from Sacramento to Los Angeles or Bakersfield or somewhere in the valley. That is the food belt of the United States practically. That valley can grow any kind of food, and that's what I saw on the ride from Phnom Penh, from Siem Reap to Phnom Penh. It reminded me of the California Central Valley, and so I felt totally and completely at home. I was very, very surprised. There were lemon orchards, there were orange orchards, there were cashew farms, there were rice fields, there was a whole variety of crops being grown on that ride down. I think it was Highway 6 or something like that, from Siem Reap all the way down to Phnom Penh. I truly felt like I was at home. You could not tell the difference, I couldn't anyway, between scenes that you would see in the Central Valley of California and the farmlands, right there in the valley, were almost the same as in Cambodia. And so that means probably that they can grow anything here at all. And you know, that's the downside of Manila in the Philippines, is that unless you live in Baguio City where the weather is cooler, you're not going to be able to grow so many of them citrus fruits because they need a cold winter snap in order to germinate. That's what the problem is. That's why we get our strawberries from Baguio City and things like that, because it's cool enough temperature up there that it's just right, just the right environment to grow strawberries. So anyway, the impressions of the people is that they're happy. It's a younger population. I noticed that the men and the women, they have about, I'm gonna have to check on demographic trends, but they have about the same age group of population that I've seen in the Philippines, somewhere between the ages of 18 to 35. I mean, and a lot of women are out there looking for the foreigner husband. It was very obvious to me, because you know how, have you ever heard me talk about the Filipino walk of fame? You know, where you go to a restaurant and then then all of a sudden, if you're, like for example, if you're a man, you're by yourself and you're going into a restaurant in BGC or something for a meal, then you'll see what I call the parade of Filipinas. They'll notice you and then they'll start, you know, walking back and forth from left to right, from left to right, just to see if they can get your attention. Of course, if you don't show any interest, then they know you're probably already in a relationship or hooked up, right? But if you give them the stare, then they're like, they may even come over and take a peek, you know, at you through the glass. You know, if you're sitting at a table by the window. This is a kind of environment that we experience, except you know, the bars are open. And so the bars are open, they got fans blowing, and so I noticed the parade of women as they were, you know, walking, traversing around the area, you know, and they were looking to see who are the available men. That was my impression. It may not be true, folks. It may not be true. I may have, you know, I value my observation skills, but they could be, and oftentimes are, very, very inaccurate. So remember the disclaimer that I always put up. I don't have it today. Disclaimer is, whatever Dan says, just ignore it. And I caution you, viewer discretion is advised. I'm just giving you my impression. It's only my opinion. Don't take it as being the undeniable truth, right? So, but that's what I thought I was witnessing. And here's the other thing I thought I was witnessing. They were not Khmer or Cambodian women. Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that I thought I was seeing. Nip and tell me I could be wrong. They didn't look Cambodian. You know, well, what does a Cambodian look like? Well, you know, they have a look. A Khmer girl has a certain look. They look like they were Vietnamese women. Vietnamese women, you can also recognize fairly easily if you grew up in areas that have Vietnamese populations, right? Like Sacramento, California. And so this is where my experience comes from. No, I've never been to Vietnam. Minnie and I, we plan on going there someday, but we haven't been there. Who's in the house? CBGB's here, it looks like. Anna May's here. I'm starting to be able, I'm seeing a few names come up. I know Nip Band's here. I apologize, I can't see everybody who's in the house. All right, so now I'm gonna have to get better at this. I'm gonna have to get more detail oriented. So I plan on doing that. I promise you I will do that. I'll become better at it. So there were Vietnamese women that, and also they are multilingual. Where's Peter of Barbaria? He'll make a joke out of that. They are, Crystals is here. They are multilingual. That means they could speak several different languages. They speak English, they speak Russian, they speak Vietnamese, they speak Khmer, they speak Cambodian, they speak, you name the language. I asked a young lady how many different languages she knows that she can speak. And she said, I think about 15 or 16. So, I mean, you could say a lot of stuff, right, about Americans being egocentric or ethnocentric or whatever you want to call it, self-centered. But if you could speak 15 languages fluently, you're a way, way smarter, better human being than I am. I could tell you that. I don't even have the motivation to learn another language, let alone 15. But they understand the value of communication. I have my phone, I have Google, right, translator. I don't need to learn another language. See how I am? I don't need to learn another language. I got Google Translator right here. So anyway, keeping in mind the fact that I can barely see who's here and the names, right? If you have any questions or any suggestions or any offerings at all about what I've talked about here today in this live stream, please ask them or point them out in the comment section below so I get a gist of what's going on. Some of you are laughing at me probably thinking that I thought Dan was better than that. He should know that. He should know this. He should be aware of that. He should have been aware of this, you know. Hey, you know, I'm Dan, right? I'm an imperfect human being. Just by being human makes me imperfect, right? So And I don't take offense to most things. And the reason why I don't is because if I don't like the negative comments, I'll just delete you. I'm sure there's nobody in here at all saying hateful things. But please, I'm just joking, not really. But if you have anything to point out, and you've been to Phnom Penh, or you're planning on coming here, you've done your research, then point it out. Point whatever it out. If you disagree with me, disagree with me. It's okay. You know, I'm wrong all the time. I'm wrong 1 or 2% of the time. All right, everybody. Thanks for putting up with me. Oh, enjoy that video. Enjoy that short video we put up, the Starbucks, the AI video. You know, the more I'm learning about AI, the more I like it. Except for, I'm not happy with. I wouldn't be happy with AI knowing everything about me. I mean everything. You know, where I bank, how much money I earn, all this other stuff. They say that AI has that capability. No, I'm talking about videos. It's great for making videos, right? I'm not talking about where you would superimpose somebody, you know, over somebody else saying that they're having a love affair or something like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about stuff like this one that I posted called Starbucks. Having fun with it. The video part of it. That's what I'm talking about. The rest of it, I'm not so sure about. I don't feel very, very comfortable, you know, with AI from that perspective. I don't know if it's really going to be a thing or if it's going to go away like the .com bubble did way back when. I'm not sure. But anyway, I like making videos using some of the templates that are available, and I think this one turned out pretty good. It's called Starbucks. And I have all these strange, weird ideas that just pop into my head, and I turn it into a short video. What can I do? Some of them do great. Some of them do lousy. I have no control over it. It's just whatever comes to mind. I like to make a short video out of it. All right, everybody, that's it for now. I think we've got an hour. We're going to be here for the Friday night live, and I think that'll be our last Friday night away from home, and then we're returning to the Philippines on Saturday. We're headed to Manila to hang with the fellas, so don't be late no matter what it's scheduled for. Remember, because I'm a screw up, just show up Friday night at 6 p.m. Philippine time. I will be here. We'll be giving away 3 times on Friday night. Brother-in-law Jill has already sent me the Gcash. It's in my account, ready to go, ready to be delivered to you. And don't forget this. This channel is your channel, which means the more money I make and we make, the more money you make. That's the whole thing. I think it's lost on, not anybody here, it's lost on a few people that if you show up on Friday night at 6 p.m., you have the same opportunity as anybody else to win pesos 333. All right. If you want to call me names or curse me or compliment me, you can send it to my chat messenger, or you can put it in the comment section below, and we'll see everybody Friday at 6 p.m. I might be doing 1 or 2 live stream videos, but I won't be giving away money. We'll be doing like maybe the lobby of this museum, this hotel, and you know, where I could get away with it. Take care, everybody. Bye. See you in the next one.